Okay, so we've got our to-do class, and that's one of the entities in our application. I'm thinking that we can make another class, and this would be something like a data structure, a list of all the to-dos, because part of what we are doing, especially with the create to-do function, is that we have like an array of to-dos, and we basically perform some basic operations like add something, not really, well, remove a bunch that are completed, update a to-do. So it's basic like operations on to-dos that's very common to perform on any sort of a data structure. So let's go and build a simple one. Let's create a to-do list JS. And so I'm going to say this is class to-do list. Let's clean up the screen a little. I know that I'm gonna need to export this if I want to use it in other places, which I want. And I also know that I'm gonna need to import the to-do if I want to use it here, which I want. So that's a bit of a organization before we get started on implementing this. So we need an array, right? I'm basically mostly going to focus on what is done here in this function and bring these same operation into the to-do list. I definitely need an array to store all the to-dos, so we can drop that here, make this to be a private field, and we start with an empty array. And then what we can do is we can go and try to get, well, these operations really. I'm gonna copy them and then clean them up. Let's grab these and drop them in here. Okay, we've got a bit of a cleaning to do now. For each one of these, you got to take like the colon out, take the arrow out, so to make it look like a method declaration, right? And you take the comma out as well, and I need to do the same thing for all of these. Make sure that they are at least syntactically correct before we go over actually looking at the implementation of each one. So this one is a little weird. Let's take this out, this one as well, and the last one. Okay, I think we got it right. I'm gonna format this file quickly. And now let's take a look at the logic, actually what we're doing. So add to do, you want to create a new to do. I don't really need all of this. What I want to do is to say new to do and pass the to do text. So that creates my object, and it's we don't really need to go down the road of like overwriting this every time. That was more like the idea of having immutable data structures is more something that functional programming or the people who practice functional programming are fond of. Here, I would argue it's far more common that you directly modify the field of your classes in object-oriented programming. So let's just say that this hashtag todos.push, and so that's what we're doing. We're making a new to-do, and we push it into the array of to-dos that we have, and that's our add to-do. Toggle to-do. So what we got to do here, we got to find the to-do with the given ID. So we can do it like this. We can say const to-do, go over the list of to-dos. And by the way, I can do this now in a more imperative way using like a for loop, but let's mix and match some functional programming and object-oriented programming, all of them in one place. So for each, well, not for each, do a find, right? So we can do a find. We can say check if for a given to-do, if the ID of that to-do is the same as this given ID. Right, now this shows us why we might want to have like a getter here to get the ID, right? It's helpful because we want to check it against some given ID. Okay, now we can say if actually something was returned, if there was a match, then go on that to-do and toggle the complete state of it. Toggle it. Was it called toggle? It was just toggle, not toggle to-do. So just toggle. Okay. So find it, and if it was actually a match, then toggle its state. Good. Mark all completed. So we got to go over every element. We could do a map. We can also do like a for each, or just a regular for loop, whatever you're into. So for each to-do, then what you want to do, it's none of this, you just want to go on that, you want to go on that to-do and update it's completed. Okay, let me take a look at here. So this suggests that I actually do want to have, I need to be able to like mark them as completed. I mean, I can implement this in a few different ways. I can check if it is not completed, I can toggle it, or I can just put a setter here for, you know, completed. Let's say like value this dot hashtag completed gets this value. And having these two is sort of redundant. So we kind of want to, you know, a better design is to choose one and stick to it. So maybe this class should just be a simple class with a bunch of setters and getters, which kind of like makes us wonder, why did we hide some of the fields? It probably makes sense for the ID to be hidden and for the next to-do ID to be hidden. If we were going to access and modify the text and the completed, then this arrangement is somewhat enough of an overkill. And the only argument we can make for it is that maybe we can do some validation, right? So for example, maybe we validate and make sure text is not empty. Maybe we validate and make sure completed is actually a Boolean. All right, now I don't want to make any changes to this code right now. I'm just having this discussion so you understand what we are doing here together. It's not necessarily and always the best way to write the code. Sometimes we go down an alley just to figure out what is possible and see different options that are at our disposal. Okay, so but now this should work, right? So I should be able to like mark all of the to-dos as completed. Clear completed. Okay, we can remove things from a, we can like go over a to-do, remember the IDs of the things that we want to remove, and then go and remove those IDs. But I reckon that using a filter actually is probably going to be simpler to pull this off. So here I'm going to stick to this idea of I'm going to be overwriting the to-dos using this filter, and yeah, I think that is already the right filter. Okay, get to-dos, and this was calling another, I think, inner function in our application, like this one. So let's grab this and see what it does for us. Let's bring it here. Let's see what it is. So this needs a filter. We don't really have a filter here. We can again make a design decision. We can think that is filter a property, an attribute of the to-do list, or is filter maybe an attribute of the entire application. So just for the sake of, you know, having an operation where we pass a value to it, let's go down this road and say filter is not a property of a to-do list. It's maybe just part of the state of the application, and when you want to get the to-dos, you provide me with the filter. And then I can go and check against these things, and again, these filters are good. I don't have a problem with them. Okay, so this gives me the active one, the completed one, and all of them. Good. And get the number of active to-dos. Yeah, the reduce is just as good as any. We can return this dot hashtag to reduce, and this should do it for us. Okay, set filter. Well, if I decided that filter is not going to be a property of to-do class, then this function is not needed here anymore. Okay, let's format the document one more time. Let's take a look at what we've got over here. I made a lot of changes, and it's very possible that I may have made a mistake somewhere, but we'll figure that out later. Right now, on the face of it, it looks good. I have a to-dos array, which is private. You can directly edit it, and I initialize it right here. I could have done it in a constructor, and these are the operations that basically allow me to do some basic manipulation of data in this to-do list data structure.